Hello and welcome to LinguaBites. I'm so happy you're here. If you are new to the channel, this is the place where we learn English not just by memorizing lists, but by enjoying great stories. Today we are starting something very special, our first literature series. We are traveling back to Victorian London to meet the world's most famous detective, Sherlock Holmes. Now, usually when we think of Sherlock Holmes, we think of a genius, a man who never makes mistakes, a man who is like a cold, calculating machine. But today's story is different. Today we are reading A Scandal in Bohemia by Arthur Conan Doyle. Why this story? Because this is the only story where Sherlock Holmes is beaten. And he isn't beaten by a criminal mastermind or a monster. He is outsmarted by a woman, the famous Irene Adler. So grab your tea or coffee, get comfortable, and let's improve your English with a little bit of mystery. Our story begins on a cold night in London. Sherlock Holmes and his best friend, Dr. Watson, are sitting by the fire in their apartment at 221B Baker Street. Suddenly, a visitor arrives. He is a giant man, wearing rich clothes and a black mask over his face. He refuses to say his name. But Sherlock Holmes, using his skills of deduction, quickly realizes the truth. "Your Majesty," Holmes says calmly, "I cannot help you if you do not trust me." The man pulls off his mask. It is the King of Bohemia, and he is in big trouble. The king explains his problem. 5 years ago, he fell in love with a beautiful American opera singer named Irene Adler. But now, the king must marry a princess from another country. If the princess finds out about his old girlfriend, the wedding will be canceled. The problem, Irene Adler has a photograph. A compromising photograph of her and the king together. She has threatened to send it to the princess to ruin the wedding. The king has tried to steal it. He has tried to buy it, but he has failed. He needs Sherlock Holmes to steal the photo. Holmes accepts the job. But he doesn't go as a detective. He uses a disguise. The next day, Holmes dresses up as a poor, drunk horse groomer. He goes to Irene Adler's house to watch her. He discovers something surprising. Irene Adler has a boyfriend, a lawyer named Godfrey Norton. In fact, Holmes watches them rush to a church. Holmes follows them, still in his disguise. And in a funny twist, the couple needs a witness for their wedding. They grab the first person they see, who is Sherlock Holmes. So the detective actually helps the woman he is hunting to get married. But Holmes still needs that photograph. He knows that when a house is on fire, people instinctively run to save their most precious possession. This is his plan to outsmart her. That night, Holmes returns to Irene's house. This time, he is disguised as a kind old priest. As he arrives, a group of men start a fake fight outside her door. Holmes pretends to get hurt in the fight. Irene Adler, being a kind woman, brings the old priest inside to rest on her sofa. Suddenly, Dr. Watson, who is hiding outside, throws a smoke rocket through the window and yells, "Fire!" Smoke fills the room, panic, and just as Holmes predicted, Irene Adler runs to a secret panel in the wall. She reaches for the photograph to save it. Holmes sees this. He doesn't take the photo yet. He just needed to know where it was. He escapes the house during the confusion, planning to come back the next day with the king to take the photo officially. As Holmes walks home, feeling very proud of himself, a young man walks past him in the street and says, "Good night, Mr. Sherlock Holmes." Holmes is confused. Who was that? He was still wearing his disguise. The next morning, Holmes and the king go to Irene's house. But they are too late. The house is empty. Irene Adler is gone. They find the secret panel, but the compromising photo of the king is not there. Instead, there is a different photo, a beautiful picture of Irene herself, and a letter. The letter is addressed to Sherlock Holmes. Irene writes, "My dear Mr. Holmes, you did it very well. I really thought you were an old priest, but when the people shouted fire, I showed you the secret. Afterwards, I became suspicious. I followed you home to Baker Street to make sure you were the famous detective. Then I greeted you good night." She continues, "Do not worry. I love my new husband, and he loves me. I will not ruin the king's life. I will keep the king's photo only to protect myself. Goodbye." Sherlock Holmes is shocked. He failed. The king is happy because the secret is safe. But Holmes is humbled. He used his best trick, but she saw through it. From that day on, whenever Sherlock Holmes speaks of Irene Adler, he calls her simply the woman, the only person who ever beat him. I hope you enjoyed the mystery. Before we finish, let's put on our detective hats. I want to look closely at 5 key words from this story that will help you sound more advanced in your daily life. Word number 1, to deduce, verb. Pronunciation, deduce. Meaning, to reach a conclusion by using logic and reasoning. In the story, Sherlock doesn't just guess things, he deduces them. When he sees mud on your shoe, he deduces that it was raining outside. Real-life example. I saw his wet umbrella, so I deduced that he had just arrived. Word number 2, disguise, noun, verb. Pronunciation, disguise. Meaning, changing your appearance so people don't recognize you. In the story, Holmes dresses up as an old priest. This is his disguise. He wears it to trick Irene Adler. Real-life example. The celebrity wore a hat and sunglasses as a disguise to avoid the paparazzi. Word number 3, compromising, adjective. Pronunciation, compromising. Meaning, something that reveals an embarrassing or dangerous secret. In the story, the king is afraid of a compromising photograph. If people see this photo, he will be in trouble. Real-life example. Be careful what you post on social media. You don't want to share compromising photos that your boss might see. Word number 4, to outsmart, verb. Pronunciation, outsmart. Meaning, to defeat someone by being more clever or intelligent than they are. In the story, Irene Adler outsmarted Sherlock Holmes. She knew what he was planning, and she escaped before he could catch her. Real-life example. The fox outsmarted the hunter and ran away. The late. Adjective phrase. Meaning. This is a tricky one. Usually, late means you are not on time, but when we say, the late Irene Adler, it can mean two things. Either she has died, or she used to hold a title but doesn't anymore. In the story, Sherlock refers to her as the late Irene Adler. It is a sign of respect. She is part of his past history now. Real-life example. The late Steve Jobs was the founder of Apple, meaning he has passed away. To wrap up today's investigation, I have a challenge for you. In the story, Irene Adler hides the photograph in a secret panel in her wall. If you had a secret treasure, where would you hide it so Sherlock Holmes can find it? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be reading your answers. Thank you for listening to this episode of LinguaBites. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.